two objectives is what we're trying to accomplish today. Is one is to show a demonstration about a 7-minute video of a bandage that we're going to be giving to all our medical teams. It's called the Israeli bandage, and some of you may have heard of it, but I think once you look at the 7-minute demonstration, you'll be very impressed at how this particular bandage has worked. It's saved a lot of military, and as well as law enforcement, EMT, hospitals are also adopting a portion or a type of bandage similar to it, because it can be used as a bandage, as a tourniquet, as a sling. So there's a lot of practical uses of it, and I think you'd be impressed with that. So we're going to be equipping our medical teams with that. So right now, what I'd like to do is go ahead and let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is Jerry here tonight?
I saw her.
Jerry, why don't you kind of give us a little bit of update? Brian, if you'll kind of talk about what's coming up the next 2 months.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to update you on our fundraising committee. We had our first sort of monthly happy hour last night. Was it yesterday? 2 nights ago. 2 nights ago. And it was a sold-out crowd. We had 75 tickets sold. And between donations and the tickets, we made $613 for Forward Paths.
Good.
Which was fabulous. It really is awesome. So there was a lot of work, and spearheaded by Jeanette and Paul Kelly, who did the lion's share of the work. But there's also a committee, and anybody's welcome to join us. If you'd like to, just let me know. We're not going to have one in March because the flea market's here, and it would just be too hard to clean up and have our Sunday night thing. So our next one will be April 24th. And we are going to feature Ted Scallon and the Delta Boogie Boys, or Boogie Boys.
Band.
Is that all right?
That's close enough.
That's
good
close enough?
Yeah.
Okay, and it should be fabulous. So we're hoping to have another sold out crew. That's the fourth Sunday in August, the 24th.
April.
Yeah.
It was a test, we know.
It was the A month, you know. So, yeah, it was really fabulous. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Brian, you want to talk about a little bit what's going on the next 2 months?
Sure. Hey guys. Okay, so after we get through tonight, next month is you'll have to excuse me, I lost a tooth on Sunday, my front tooth. That was a bit devastating, as you can imagine. My wife says I look like a pumpkin that you carve out for Halloween now. Oh, boy. So on the April meeting is the drill. We're going to run it like we kind of did, not last year where we had to come in here because it was so hot that we couldn't run it out at the pool side. We're going back to poolside. We'll have the round robin where we move to the 5 different tables. I can't say F's without this tooth. So there will be some emails going out. We have the list of people who volunteered to be the victims, the next door neighbor, the obnoxious bystander persons. So we'll be sending out an email to those folks. Hopefully we can get a good response from them. And but we may be looking for a few additional volunteers. We need about 15, which is the number that we used last year. We're going to try to go with that number again this year. So that'll be coming up next month. The month beyond that, let me see. I didn't know it was going to be a quiz for 2 months. We're going with home hazards to avoid falls and home safety checks. And also, we have a new chairperson who has come on board the steering committees. Roberta, are you here? Hey, Roberta, there you go. Everyone say, hey, Roberta. Yeah, she's going to be taking on, yes, we thank her very much for stepping up. She's going to be taking the chair position for the medical team. So Larry and I are scheduled to meet with her next Tuesday, I think it is. I think it's Tuesday. And we'll kind of start bringing her up to speed. I did have a question from John, thank you. I thought it was John, but I just wanted to make sure you remembered. Had a question from John about any training coming up as far as maybe from Bill Hilchey. You guys, some of you may have attended some of his medical training classes. Very knowledgeable gentleman. He's been around for quite some time as an EMT and former firefighter up in New York State somewhere, I believe. I think that's right. Is that right?
Yes.
Hey, Carl. Good seeing you. So we'll be getting in touch with him. We already had on the 18-month training plan that we had laid out a CPR class. And, but we'll be working with Roberta, like I said, to kind of bring her up to speed, maybe fine tune that a bit and go forward with that. So really that's all I've got at this point. Block captains, there's been a few referrals, but I never get responses when I send out emails lately to those new people. So unfortunately, I don't have any new block captains that have come on board in the last month. So, but we'll keep working it. We'll keep working the problem. All right.
Thank you, Brian, very much. Let me get up. Okay, this 7-minute brief is going to be basically talking about a variety of different bandages. I assume because they called it Israeli bandage, it was actually developed by the Israelis. But it's something that's been kind of a lifesaver tool. They have 4-inch and a 6-inch and a belly wrap for different type of things, what goes on with it. What it has on the 4-inch, it has a pad, also placed a route, and also can be used as a tourniquet and a hooking device on the thing. So it can be used as various things, where they're even like a sling. If you have to immobilize a appendage of some sort, to be able to wrap it, and it can be used for that. Also to be able to apply to a particular wound and hopefully stop the bleed. The 6-inch is a little bit more sturdy, but anyway, we're going to be getting those in the kits for our medical team. Now, there's one other thing that was mentioned. I'm not sure who came up with the question. In some cases, it could be a block captain or someone else on the first scene. They were asking, is there any way we can develop something for that? What we've done is come up with a package that can be put in a 1-gallon bag. And some of the contents would be some 4x4 gauze, 5x9 packages, the wrapping tape that self-adhesive, the Israeli bandage, surgical scissors to be able to cut, also a box cutter type thing in case there's something that's very heavy duty. Not, you know, if we're responding to something here, it may not be in a car, but you know, like cutting seat belts or something of that nature. So it's designed not to make a doctor out of the block captain. It's designed that there's someone there and there's a bleeding situation to be able to stop the bleed. Hopefully within 5 minutes, we may have one of our medical teams on site, maybe within 10 or 15 minutes. But I'm going to ask you a question. If a cut on the artery in the groin is not stopped, how long does it take to bleed out, do you think?
3 minutes.
3 minutes? So time is of essence, and even if it's up here or other parts of your body, you may only have five or 6 minutes at some point. So it's a good idea, and what we have come up with, the cost on these is around $16. Okay, and the only thing that Roberta was mentioning, which I found a source for, they're 70 cents a piece, is a, what do you call it?
Oh, it's for CPR.
CPR. I mean, it's a portable
It's a
device
mask,
that would protect not only the person, but also you in order to give
CPR.
CPR.
Yeah.
mask. Right, exactly. Breathe through the hole on that.
Got a one-way valve in it and stuff.
So anyway, well, let me go ahead and start the video, and then we'll introduce our guests from the sheriff's office.
The emergency bandage, nicknamed the Israeli bandage by U.S. troops, debuted in 2000. Invented by an IDF medic, the device is designed to stop the bleeding of traumatic hemorrhage wounds. It is the only device of its kind that utilizes a patented pressure applicator to exert approximately 30 pounds of pressure at the wound site. The original and patented closure bar at the end of the cloth leader secures the wrap. Various styles are available, which we will discuss in a few moments, and practically any type of wound can be wrapped with the bandage. The emergency bandage is the bandage of choice for U.S. and international military units. It is also found a home in EMS, industrial, and hospital arenas. Due to its versatility, the bandage eliminates the need for 4x4 dressings, Kerlex, sticks, etc. That is a savings of money and space and an increase in efficacy. All styles of the emergency bandage have the same key components: one sterile non-adherent pad or primary dressing, one latex-free elasticized cloth leader or secondary dressing, one high-performance pressure applicator, and one closure bar to secure the wrap. Product details are clearly marked on the front of the product, and instructions are on the back. Rip open the outer packaging at any corner notch. Remove the bandage from the clear inner wrap by ripping the center notch. Unfold the bandage and notice that your hands never need to touch the sterile non-stick pad. Place the sterile pad on the wound in such a way that the pressure applicator is offset to the side of the wound. Wrap one revolution of the cloth leader. Insert into the pressure applicator and begin wrapping in the opposite direction, tightening as you go. Once you complete the wrap, insert one side of the closure bar into 2 or more fabric folds, like a pin in a shirt pocket, to secure the wrap. Another way to begin a standard wrap and achieve even more pressure is to twist the cloth leader each time you wrap on top of the pressure applicator and close the wrap with the closure bar. To ensure that no outside debris makes contact with the wrapped wound, wrap below and above the initial revolution first. Complete the wrap and secure with the closure bar. Insert the leader into the pressure applicator to create a space for insertion. Bring the pad to the wound area. Insert the cloth leader. Wrap and secure with the closure bar. You can also use the cloth loop near the pressure applicator. Again, bring the pad to the wound area. Wrap and close. The emergency bandage also has an application that is similar to a tourniquet. While it will not completely stop blood flow, it will reduce it significantly. To use the tourniquet-like function of the bandage, wrap is normal. At the end of the wrap, lift 2 or 3 folds of fabric, insert the closure bar, and twist as you would a tourniquet. When you are unable to continue twisting, close the wrap with the closure bar. Select versions of the emergency bandage feature a second mobile pad. Styles with 2 pads facilitate coverage of entry and exit wounds. Exit wounds often bleed more profusely than entry wounds. With that in mind, place the stationary pad on the exit wound. The pressure applicator is on top of this pad and will exert additional pressure on the site. Slide the mobile pad to the entry wound. Wrap and secure as previously instructed. Wrap 1 revolution of the cloth leader, insert into the pressure applicator, and begin wrapping in the opposite direction, tightening as you go. Close the wrap with the closure bar. Place the pad on the wound. Wrap 1 revolution. Go through the pressure applicator. Pull in the opposite direction and wrap again. Insert the cloth leader into the space between the pressure applicator and the patient, and now begin to wrap head to chin. Close the wrap with the closure bar. Place the pad on the abdominal wound to cover and hold the exposed contents in place. Pull the cloth leader through the pressure applicator and continue wrapping in the opposite direction. Exert only necessary pressure as you wrap because your goal is simply to cover the wound. Close the wrap with the closure bar. To learn more about these products, contact us at www.ps-med.com.
You can see it has quite a bit of versatility. And again, it's going to require, I think, some training for our people, because I even tried to wrap it on myself, and I did a good job. I probably bled out myself. But it's something that will be, I think, to an addition, if you have a person that arrives on first hand, that we have some type of ability with a small kit, as well as our medical personnel to be able to handle a situation, okay? All right, I'm going to have Brian pass out. Here you go, Brian.
Sure.
I started doing some research about how to handle yourself during a traffic stop. Now, growing up, even as a teenager, yes, I got stopped. I got stopped in college. I got stopped when I got married. I got stopped in Oklahoma. I got stopped in Arkansas. So far, not in Florida. Texas a lot. But one thing I want to bring out is that it can be stressful not only for the person that gets stopped, but also the officer that may be trying to figure out something that you may have been doing. It may not be some kind of criminal activity. It could be you have a headlight out. It could be your car maybe have the description of a robbery that happened 4 or 5 streets over. Not you, but it was described as a white 2021 Equinox. Nobody knows the license other than it's Florida plates. Well, that's what I have. So there may be something inconspicuous that you don't know what he may be stopping you for. So there's certain things you need to do, and I think the bottom line is follow instructions. And last year, according to one source I had, there were like 458 casualties in the United States in 2021. Vast majority of that, I think it was 371, was COVID. COVID was the biggest culprit. But out of that total, there were 58 officers killed at traffic stops with handguns or some type of weapon. So it's something, I mean, I respect what you do, sir, and it's very difficult to understand what some of the people go through. I've got Sergeant DeSantis, if you want to come up, sir. It's going to talk a little bit about how to respond. We'll have a question and answer session, and I might do a little demonstration afterwards. I'm going to set up a couple of chairs, and I'm going to be the person stopped at night, and he's going to find out a little bit about me. And I'm a crook, okay, so.
Take him to jail, Sheriff.
Right?
Right now.
So I have a little PowerPoint, but it's just of what we do as the traffic unit of the sheriff's office. If you guys wanted to see that real quick, I think there's a gentleman in here that already saw it, or if anybody else saw it. I know he was just in a Citizens Police Academy with us. But I'll introduce myself. If you guys want to see that real quick, I can flip through that in 15 minutes, and then we can go over the traffic stop stuff. But some of it covers, I just read the whole brochure that you guys got, and that pretty much covers it all. So, and what I like to tell people is I treat you with as much, if not more respect than you treat me with on a traffic stop. That's what I do for a living for the sheriff's office, is pull people over. And like he said, you never know when it's going to be that stop where somebody had already done something bad, and now you're in his way of getting away or her way of getting away. So it turns fast, quickly, and I'm sure we all have the internet now, so you can search on the internet and you'll see there's a whole bunch of stops that go fast, quick. They just gave us 3 to watch for training purposes at work, and there was 4 troopers, and I want to say it was a state out west, but there was 4 troopers on scene, and the guy that initiated the stop, 5 seconds before the shooting starts, says, "Yeah, I'm good, there's 4 of us here." And then the bad guy either took that as a key, or the shooting started right after he cleared the red, less than 3 seconds after he said that. So you can't think it's okay because there's a whole bunch of us there. If somebody doesn't want to go somewhere with us and they have a gun, and the whole beginning of that traffic stop was it was a full-size conversion van. And when the officer went up there originally, the guy had his handgun right on the center console. Not put away, not in a holster, just sitting on the console. So that's not good for a traffic stop for us. Because then I know some of my guys that would, as soon as we see that, our gun's going to come out, so now we're on an even playing ground. They should have removed that gentleman from the vehicle, quickly secured that gun, and then moved forward. But they were too nice, and then I think none of them got shot, but it turned into a big giant shootout where traffic was still flying by on the highway. They were shooting towards each other. One of them ran forward, so now they're shooting where he ran to and hid in the ditch, and so it got out of control really fast. So you want to see the PowerPoint? I have
Pull it up.
right here, this guy.
Oh, okay.
Boom. She told me to bring that if I had it. So this is just to show what we do and look for at the sheriff's office and some stats about why we do what we do. Because now we have, in the traffic unit, we have 7 motorcycles. 4 of them are full-time and 3 are reserves. So they just come out and help us on the weekends and for escorts and parades and stuff like that. And then if we get to this up, we'll flip it up. But then that's what we do is, so if somebody calls in that doesn't live behind a gate, if they call in and say that people are flying down my road, and there's kids, of course, obviously, and all that, we respond to that. And then we try to, like today I went out to, it's Twin Palms and Fruitland Park. They called us in, we put in what we call a property check it's a computer-based system, so then I can go look and see where people are complaining about speeding in Lake County. I drive there. I usually drive my motorcycle up and down the road. Today I parked, so I can actually, you got to click on it to check off that you're there. Well, no sooner did I park, I wasn't even there for 3 minutes, and here comes a car flying up on me, and I'm like, oh, boom, turned on my light, pulled him over. Oh, I haven't even touched the gas pedal yet. I said, sir, something's wrong with your car then, because you accelerated towards me to 15 over the posted speed limit. It's 25 in the neighborhood. You made it to 40 before I jumped out in front of you. You need to get your car checked. Well, then when I went back to give him his ticket, he had not the tires, because if you don't know this already, but when you buy a car from somewhere, that speedometer matches to the tires that are on that car. You start messing with that tire size, up or down a size, like you see the trucks with the big giant tires and cars with the big giant rims. Now that speedometer doesn't read that tire the same anymore. It's a different size tire, different revolutions, the speed's off. He's like, oh, I was only doing 30. I'm like, well, I clocked you at 40, so you might want to get that checked out, because that's going to get you a ticket every time if you're steadily doing 10 over everywhere you go. But, and I have to see, if you get it to pop up, I'm going to need to see the name of it. It's like, it says Traffic Enforcement Unit, or TEU thing, so you got a little bit, that's got everything, the way you're reading it. Oh, right there. TEU Overview PPPTX, whatever that stands for. I'm not a techie. So just a little bit about me. I've been with the Lake County Sheriff's Office since 1998. I scanned the position on the traffic unit in 2008, and they can't get rid of me now. So I promoted up to sergeant of the traffic unit, and I'm not going nowhere for 10 more years because they're messing with the holes. Anybody else here retired law enforcement from anywhere in the United States? Not one, huh? All right. So anyways, they have this thing, it's called you can retire, and then they take your retirement and they put it in what they call drop, if anybody's heard that term before, right? Well, now they're playing with that where it was 5 years, now they're saying, oh, you can drop for 8 years. I'm like, okay, I'm not going anywhere anyways, because I'm still kind of young, and then that'll push me to a 62, 63, so that'd be perfect. So I'll stay here for 10 more years. So if that won't let it play, that's fine, we'll just go over this flyer and do the, because I know it's some tricky on different, computers, yeah, it's different platforms.
Too bad.
So yeah, you might want to eject it so it doesn't eat your computer. I don't know what's on it. I haven't used it. No,
Pac-Man.
nothing bad. Yeah,
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man, right. Right, yeah. So I haven't used it in forever. Well, then because of COVID, obviously, for the last couple of years, well, then we had his Citizens Police Academy a couple of weeks ago. I had to find it first. And then I had to put my updated stuff on it, so it's not going to show up here. So anyways, I'm just going to give you some of what we do and how radar works and all that stuff. But we'll go over what he invited me here for, which is what to do when you're stopped by somebody. And if you have one of these flyers, pretty much, I just read it while you guys were doing your other stuff, and it's pretty simple. That's what it boils down to. So when I stop people, and this is just when I stop people, I'll come up to you, and I'm usually in the daytime, so nighttime it's a little bit different, but I'll come up to you and I introduce myself as Sergeant DeSantis with the Lake County Sheriff's Office. I will tell you why I stopped, because if you watch the videos on the internet, it gets into a bickering match where the person's demanding stuff from the officer and the officer doesn't want to bend. He's like, hey, why'd you stop me? Give me your license first. And then that all turns into somebody getting shot. So I'm like, no, wait a minute. So if somebody if they say it before I get a chance to say it, I'm going to tell you. That's speeding. Because I'm usually when I stop for speeding, or you just did a U-turn, or because all the limited accesses that they're doing down the highways now, where you're not supposed to go straight across, you got to make a right and go down and make a U-turn to go the way you want to go. It happened to, what's the name of the community on 44 going out of Lake County towards Wildwood? They wanted the stoplight and they got a right turn only out of the deal. Now they got to go down and turn around and come back into Leesburg. But either way, so we stopped you, like you said, for a multitude of reasons we can stop you. Mostly it's speed that I deal with, because that's most of the complaints I get. But if anybody here travels through the beautiful city of Tavares, up by the Lake County Sheriff's Office, they put a car wash in right there by the Walgreens and all that. When they put that car wash in, they made that a no U-turn. If you come out of the car wash and try to go back towards Leesburg, that's a no U-turn there now. So every now and then we'll be driving through and then boom, U-turn right in front. I was like, no. So we'll stop people because they're just trying to get to their neighborhood, which is in between there, and they came from Winn-Dixie or Twisty Treat or somewhere, and they can't get to it unless they make that U-turn, unfortunately. So we see that a lot. So like you said, there could be any reason that we're stopping you. Your vehicle could match a description of something that we're looking for. Anyways, I'll introduce myself. Our policy says, if you're reading here, it's going to say something about this Fort Pierce's policy. Our policy says that we'll identify ourselves and we'll tell you why we stopped you. I don't have a problem with that. And then I tell you all that, and then I'm like, okay, so now the state of Florida says, just like the state of Fort Pierce, so they're in Florida, the state of Florida says that if I have you legally stopped, which is negotiable in court, obviously, but if I feel like I have you legally stopped, and then you have to provide me now with the three things. Your driver's license, that you're supposed to, the state says I can write you a ticket if you don't have it with you, you can't present it. Now you can do it electronically or in hand. Your proof of insurance and your registration for the vehicle that you're driving. Even if it's not your vehicle. So that's, I've been taken to court on that before, Your Honor, it's not my vehicle, and back in the good old days when it was Judge Miller, she would tell you that even if you're borrowing somebody's car, it's your responsibility to make sure that that car is legal to be on the road. To make sure you have all that documentation before you just jump in and take off and cruise through town. So once you provide me with that, I go back, I do a whole bunch of stuff on the computer, I enter it, because nowadays with our computer system, if it's your vehicle, if I just run the tag, it'll give me back your information also. So it'll tell me if your registration's valid, or if it's expired, and then it'll tell me if your license is valid, or suspended, or expired, because sometimes people forget. I just got mine in the mail, and I set it down, and they're not going to remind me again, so if I don't do it before the end of May, mine will expire, so I have to remember to do that. Anyways, and when people do that, I'll pull them over to tell them, like, hey, your license is expired. oh, I forgot, or your tag expired, because we're all busy and all this excitement going on in the world. So a lot of us, every time somebody gets pulled over, they're not getting a ticket. Now, if you're doing 15, 20, 25, 30 over the posted speed limit, and I pull you over, you're getting a ticket. It might not be for that speed, I can reduce it if everything checks out okay and you're courteous to me, but I love it when you pull somebody over and they start yelling and screaming at you about, why'd you pull me over? Like, well, you were doing 30 over the posted speed limit. I don't know, I pulled you over. Anyway, so, hold on, I'll get your ticket, I'll hurry up and get your ticket and get you out of here. So, back to what all this stuff says here, if I just glance over this like he says, it's why we would pull you over, warn you about something, if there's a crash up ahead, or we're on our way to it, and it just happened to me in Leesburg 2 weeks ago. I was on my way to a crash, and of course everybody's going to it, so I got my lights on, they're pulling over, I'm like, I'm just trying to get to this crash before you get to it, because you're going to have to stop, because it's blocking the road. A traffic violation, fit the description of something else going on that you don't know about, obviously. So maybe one of your lights is blinking and we think that you're in trouble, you're trying to get our attention, and then you may have witnessed a crime, or something happened back there once again, we're pointing, hey, did you see that? And you're like, nope, okay, see you, bye. But then when you stop you, daytime or nighttime, it's like I said, it's courteous. If you have tinted windows, you can roll those down so we can see easier. It eases everybody's tension so less bad stuff happens. And this in here tells you to keep your hands where they can be seen, because a lot of people are probably concealed carriers, or you have your permit, or you just have a weapon in the vehicle. You don't have to have your permit to have it in the vehicle, but it shouldn't be laying in your lap, by all means, or on the center console. It should be somewhere where we can't see it, and you're like, hey, I have a gun there. So you just don't make no quick movements, jumping around, and a lot of people, I've had people jump out because their purse is in the trunk. Well, once you jump out on me now, I jump out on you, and then this might not be where it's at right now. Like, whoa, why are we jumping around here? Let's slow everything down. Oh, my purse is in a trunk. Okay, well, I didn't even ask you for nothing yet. You don't have to get out and get your purse yet. Let's work this one step at a time. Let me meet you first. I'll come up here and escort you to the trunk. But yeah, don't do anything fast. The faster, it heightens the senses more, if you know what I'm talking about. So then we introduce each other. Like I said, we go back, we run in the system. Everything checks out. Okay, I come back up. If you're getting a ticket, I'll come back up with a ticket, explain it to you, and then hand it to you. And if you have any questions, I answer questions. And I give you an envelope. I say it's a free envelope, but the minimum price is $131 if it's speed related. And it's got the phone numbers to the courthouse on it. And you say, he said, ouch over there. The prices for our tickets, when they first upped them, it was July of 2010. They haven't changed since. So when they were 2010 and they came out with those prices, I said ouch. I was like, oh, good, I feel bad writing somebody a ticket. Well, now we're 12 years later, and they haven't changed the price of the tickets. And I don't feel so bad. I'm like, okay, good, here, now you can handle it, right? But, and that's the other thing too, is this in here mentions if you have to sign a ticket. They changed the law on that where every ticket doesn't have to be signed. The only ticket that has to be signed now, if there's a court, if you have to show up in court in reference to that ticket. So there's only a few kinds of tickets that appeals to, and there's 4 civil tickets or infractions that you can do where you can't be arrested, but you still have to go to court. It's 30 over the posted speed limit, which you should go to jail for. 50 over the posted speed limit, and that's more of a motorcycle one, but we catch cars doing it too on these beautiful 6-lane highways and 8-lane highways we're building all through Lake County now. If you have an unsafe load where stuff's falling off of it, I'm sure we've all witnessed that a time or two. Yeah, you're like, why are the police out when you need them? But that's one of the ones, if you get a ticket for that, you have to go to court and explain to them why you don't know how to put stuff on a trailer or in the bed of your truck. And then the other one's if you, it's a DUI crash or if you hurt somebody. So that's 4 civil infractions that you have to sign the ticket. Everything else that you have to sign a ticket for is a misdemeanor or above, which is a crime that you could go to jail for, but instead we're just giving you a ticket so you don't have to go eat the great food at the Lake County Jail. So we can give you a ticket and send you on your way, and you just have to go to court and give you what they call a criminal court date, which is usually within 3 weeks of the date of the whatever happened. And that's usually for if your license got suspended because your insurance lapsed for some reason, or if you got a ticket previously and didn't pay it. These are just some of the reasons I see on the computer. Or if somebody you had a child with, and then they wanted some money for that child, and you never paid that money, that'll get your license suspended now. So that's a couple of the things that I see on that. Or if you did something and the court said, hey, you got to pay this money back, and you don't pay it, they'll suspend your license. So that's some of the reasons they'll suspend your license for. So let's go back to this here. the move over law, my PowerPoint would go to that. In 2002, they created a law that said if you see flashy lights on the side of the road, first it just started with police. You need this still? Okay, got it.
Thank you.
So first it started with the police only, and then they changed it to where it's any flashing lights. It's because tow truck drivers are getting killed, if not worse than us, the same as us, by cars on traffic stops. And that, like I said, that pointed out, I wish that would play, because anyway, so it's anybody that's on the side of the road with flashing lights, you're supposed to either, if there's two lanes going the same way, if you can, you're supposed to get over. If you can't get over because there's somebody next to you, they want you to slow down to 20 under the posted speed limit. It just happened to me on the turnpike. We were coming back from helping Orange County escort the former president of the United States, Trump, to the little CPAC thing over there. And we were in the fast lane on the turnpike, and a trooper had somebody pulled over in that little section off to the left of the fast lane. Well, I couldn't get over because there was so much traffic, so I slowed down to 50 immediately. My buddy's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "It's 20 under. I'm not going to fly by this trooper up here and, break the law that I wrote the ticket for." So I slowed down to 50 and I creeped by him, and then you can speed back up again. Because y'all know if the speed limit's 70, we were probably doing 77 or 78 or 79. Right, yeah, exactly. So everybody's going a little bit over the speed limit. So I just let off the gas and coasted back, because if you haven't seen those flashy blue lights or blue and red lights at nighttime, you can see them for a good distance. So I coasted by him and was slowing down under 50 and went by him, so he wasn't coming after me. He had two cars, they're probably a little fender bender, but. So it's 20 under if you can't move over, and then if you can move over, obviously move over on 2 and 3 lanes going the same direction. But what I see a lot of, because I've been doing this for a couple years now, is when it's 2 roads going, only 1 lane going each direction, like on 44 or, on 473 after it tucks in together. Well, they'll think that they can just go on into head-on traffic to move over for you. And now the other person coming this way has got to slam on their brakes not to hit them. I'm like, "Hey, whoa, no, don't do that. Now you're going to cause a big giant crash here," because that's the problem. That's why I don't like the name of the law is the move over law, and they should say, "Hey, move over or slow down." So everybody knows that. So now you all know, you can spread the word for me. If there's only 2 lanes of travel, please don't jump out into that other lane if another car's coming. You can, to be courteous, if nobody's coming, but you still want to slow down. Because some of them will just keep speed, no one's coming, they'll fly out around you anyways. I'm like, no, you're supposed to slow down a little bit. And I've seen, I won't do it, at least you acknowledge that I was there and went around me a little bit, but I've seen people will pull them over because they never slow down. They'll still fly by at the same speed, even though now they're in the opposite lane of traffic going head on into people that aren't there yet. But so that's the move over law. And then it says it's blue overhead or blue and red. We use blue lights only. A lot of flashy white in there now. And then I think a lot of the cities are blue and red. And I know FHP's both. They have some all blue and some blue and red. But yeah, once they light you up, you just got to go to a safe place. Because I don't know if you noticed or not, a lot of this, your highway here isn't at 2 lanes yet. There's no curb, so you can probably actually pull off in the grass. Well, a lot of the 3 lane stuff that's going through town is curbed. So I'll have people just stop in one of the lanes. I'm like, "Oh, no, we're not doing this here. I ain't having cars fly by me at 70 miles an hour out here in this lane." So, and I'll get on my intercom like this and be like, "Hey, can we pull up a little bit in that driveway or, pull into this next business?" I'm not standing out here in this road because I've seen it where people just drive right into the back of another car because they're, "Oh, I didn't see your blue lights." Even though you can see them for a mile, I didn't see them today. I'm like, "Oh, okay." So you want to go somewhere where it's safe for both parties. Because if somebody at speed hits my car, it's going to be pretty close to your car, and then it's going to, now we're all tied up there in a wreck. Hopefully nobody got hurt, but it's not usually the case, unfortunately. So then I'll go back to the no sudden movements. Like I said, this thing here does great to it. If your documents are out of reach, everything's in the glove box. Let me reach over there. Okay, and then he'll have a flashlight on you. And that's what I tell people because unfortunately, I've just put a driver on the road a year and a half ago, and he's 17 and still doing great. And I'm about to put a 16-year-old young lady on the road here in 2 weeks. So I tell them, if you do get pulled over, just treat them like somebody that you would want to treat that you love, right? With respect, and not somebody that you don't like. Don't treat them like somebody you don't like. Don't do that. Treat them like somebody that you like, please. But if you don't feel that you did what they said you did, I try to tell people that's what court's for. That's what attorneys are for. Because for you to sit there and argue and fight with that officer is not gonna solve the problem that night. It's actually gonna magnify it in the wrong direction, if you know what I mean. Because then, now you're not doing nothing he's saying, now he's getting upset, he's gonna call another officer, and then it just draws it all out. And I didn't wear mine today because I was just coming here. I snuck home during the day and then snuck in my workout since I'm staying out late tonight, and then came back and didn't have mine. But we all have, the Lake County Sheriff's Office has the body cameras. So all of the guys in the green and white cars that you see driving around the county have a body camera on. Their cars have a front-facing camera and a rear-facing camera, which is video and if they have an occupant that's on their way to the jail, so there's nothing going on bad back there. But as soon as, if there's impact, if they get into a crash, it activates their cameras. And the body camera grabs the last it's recording all the time, but doesn't save it until it's activated. So if it's activated, the body camera grabs the 30 seconds prior without audio, just video to see what caused the activation. And then the car cameras grab the minute prior without audio, just video, so you can see what happened and maybe you can see what caused the crash or whatever. If it was the officer was on his computer and just drove into a car, because I've seen that on some of the videos. But so right, yeah. So we, the sheriff's office has that in all their cars now, and then they're getting ready to update it where when they roll over, it's Axon's the company, but when they roll it over, so every camera is going to read every tag that it reads. It'll put it into a database. So like he said, if we're looking for a suspect vehicle, and now we have a tag or a partial tag, and then that car, one of the cars drives by it and it sees it, well then it'll start sending alerts to everybody that like, hey, this person at this location just drove by that car. So it's just, if it drives by you, it's going to be in the database. You're not doing anything wrong. It's just in a database. But if your tag matches 2 or 3 of the digits on someone else that drove away from a crime, you might get one of those traffic stops he was talking about where they're just investigating to see if it matches up. And then they'll see you, you'll be like, hey, what's going on? Okay, you're probably not going to be my suspect, or you don't fit the description anymore, reference to, after they pull you over. So, as I keep on going all over the place with this, it says answer all questions truthfully. Okay, like I said, I'm back to common sense and respect. It's we get it all the time that we don't get the truth, but nobody likes to tell the truth because then they're going to get in trouble. Like we get a shift report every 12 hours on my phone. The shifts rotate for the Lake County Sheriff's Office. 24/7, there's 25 guys out there floating around answering calls for service looking for bad people. And then the shift report will say how this person will give a false name. Well, now we have these fingerprint things that we can go around. It's rapid ID, and we can call one of those to the scene. It puts them in there like, oh, wait, you know, you're this person, and you're wanted. That's why you're giving one person just gave their deceased relative's name. So when we run that name, it comes back as deceased, because once you're deceased, they sign all this stuff, and then it goes to the state database, and then it puts it, like if you had a driver's license, it shows up on there. So that way we know when we like, oh, wait a minute, they're not, well, you're not driving, because this says that you're not driving anymore right here. But it says like deceased on there. But so this young person said, okay, I'm just going to use I think it was their dead brother or sister's name to try to get out of going to jail because they had some warrants for their arrest. Well, then when they plugged their fingerprint into that thing, it found it, and they still went to jail. And all they did was add a charge, because it's not nice to use. Because I had it happen way back when I was in the service, before computers and pictures and all that stuff. My brother was using my name and social security number, wearing my license out while I was serving my country for 4 years. I get back home and my license is suspended. I'm like, what? I've been going for 18 months. How's my license been? I haven't been driving. So I had to drag him into court. He got arrested and then fix my license. Of course, it cost me money because he doesn't have any money, right? That's why he's using my license. Needless to say, he hasn't changed, and we're 50 years old. Thank goodness he moved to another state, so I don't have to deal with him on a regular basis. And then back to if you're asked to sign a citation, and I tell people this every time they have to sign one, your signature is not an admission of guilt. All that says when you sign that is that you're going to either show up in court or be represented in court. That's all you're signing for. So if anybody says, oh no, they made me sign it and said if I didn't sign I was going to jail. Well, if you have to sign one and you refuse to sign one, now you've committed one of those criminal charges I was talking about, and you can go to jail, and you probably will. Now, if you're refusing to sign something you're supposed to sign, you will go to jail then, because now you've once again magnified it by fighting the incident right then instead of waiting to take it to court or have a lawyer represent you that does that for a living. Then it says you have the right to politely deny a request by a police officer to search your car, because we got some people that ask everybody they stop if they can search their car for some reason. If I pull you guys over, like you'll get away with hauling whatever you're hauling if I don't smell it. I'm like, okay, I have some very nice people trying to get from point A to point B. I'm not asking you to search your car. I'm going to ask you to slow down or not run that stop sign so fast or warning or ticket and then you're out of there. But we have some people that ask everybody to search their car. You are allowed to say no. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you've seen this all in the news and everything, is you can say, we can ask anything, and you can pretty much say no to anything. Like some people be like, hey, can I see your ID? Or, hey, will you empty your pockets? I'm pretty sure that nobody in this room right now has that problem. But when we walk through apartment complexes, I had a guy do it 15 years ago. We're walking through the apartment complex, just hanging out because there was trouble there. So they sent us there. We're in unmarked cars, but we got out and decided to walk. We're wearing sheriff's office uniforms, and we roll up on 3 kids hanging out at the picnic table. And the one guy's like, hey, do you have any drugs in your pocket right now? And the one kid's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, what? No, you don't say yeah when the police ask him. I mean, you do because you're a good kid. Well, he pulls out this softball size, and this was 15 or 20 years ago, softball sized bag of marijuana. I'm like, why do you have a big giant ball of marijuana? So he went to jail, needs to say. But either way, it's, so we can ask anything, and we can be told no too, unfortunately. But that young man, he was like, yeah, I'm like, thank you for telling the truth, young man. You know, we'll put that in there too, and we'll put, Your Honor, we put in there that it's, well, he asked him and he said yes. He didn't lie, he didn't take off running. Do what you gotta do when you punish him, but take that into effect, please. Because usually we get either a run or a lie, like, no, I don't know what that big giant ball is right there in my pocket. And well, hold on a second, I got a dog that'll tell us, but we don't go that far either. So that tells you that, probably all have okay, so understand this situation is unique for all of us. Get this back up here. Right, we will provide, like I said, I introduced myself. This says, like they said, this will provide our name upon request. I'll inform you for the reason being stopped. Only arrest you if the crime, like it says, committed is in our offense, but if you have a warrant or something like that, you get to go to jail, no charge, it's a free ride. And then probable cause if you did something else. So like I said, if you have a bunch of those criminal things that I already mentioned that you can go to jail for, you can go to jail. And you can also just get a criminal citation so you don't have to go to jail. Because during when the COVID was at its peak there, I say at its peak, but it seems like it's going to go on forever, they were asking us not to bring people to jail. Because that's where it's, once you get confined, it was spreading worse and all that stuff. So we were writing more criminal citations then. And now we're doing traffic court via Zoom, and I love it because I don't have to drive all the way to Tavares. We got guys that live down at 474. They got to drive 90 minutes to go to traffic court on their day off. It's like, hey, just Zoom right here. Here's my documents. Look on the camera. There's all my stuff saying that all my stuff's good, and let's take this to court. So, needless to say, and I think that's it. You go to the back side here. This is a very good flyer. I'm probably going to copy and paste this and put the sheriff's office name on it. Don't tell Fort Pierce. Seat belts, obviously, and I had some good seatbelt slides in that thing there too. The younger the child, of course, they're supposed to have their own. This says 4 years old. They've moved that around a little bit, but it's if they're small enough to be in their own car seat, they have to be in their own car seat. That's a whole separate ticket than a regular seatbelt ticket. Obviously, we all know not to drink and drive. I know that on my flyer there was almost 40% of all fatal crashes were drug and alcohol related in Lake County in 2020. I remember that from one of my slides, so I just updated it. So and I tell my young kids that if you're speeding, doing drugs, doing alcohol, you're magnifying the problems, what you're doing. Instead of, it's already bad enough, as we all know, driving just normally. Some people, on our way back home in Orange County on our motorcycles, I had my cruise control set at 79 on the turnpike. And it's a 70-mile-an-hour speed. We had 6, this was Saturday night, just this past Saturday night that we were coming back. So I'm out of my jurisdiction, I can't pull nobody over no-how until I get to the county line. 6 cars at least flew by us. We were all the way over in the fast lane, and in because it was like 5 or 6 lanes wide there. 6 cars flew by us, not at the same time, but one at a time, and just going. They had to be doing 100 miles an hour. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? And then one little thing goes bad, and then we all know we've waited in traffic. Now you're in traffic for 2 hours because that one person thought they was going to get somewhere 5 minutes earlier. So that's why I try to tell my beautiful children to don't speed and do that. Oh, there it says, well, observe and obey the posted speed limits. Well, here's what I run into a lot when I pull people over. Hey, do you know the speed limit on this road? And they, no. I'm like, what, so you're just picking a speed and going that fast? I don't understand what's happening right now. So I try to tell my wife and my 2 children that always know the speed limit on the road that you're on. If you don't know it, because I know we live behind Gator Harley-Davidson in Leesburg, and my son goes to Lake Sumter Community College, because he's dual enrolled. And then we have him on an app there where he's doing, if he'll go 60 miles an hour, I'm like, hey, I'm telling you right now that I've been here since '02 and I've worked at the sheriff's office since '98 before you were born, both of those. I know the speed limit is nowhere that high, nowhere in between here and there. So bring it down a little bit before you have to ride your bike to that college right there. And you won't be getting there that fast, I can tell you that right now. And you know, it messes with your insurance if you keep getting speeding tickets. Impatient, aggressive drivers are becoming increasingly common because there's what I don't like is how they're doing the roads, is how it's 2 lanes here. You're going to run up into town here into Leesburg, it jumps back out into 3 lanes. Well, then you go south down here, it's 3 lanes, but then they suck you guys back into 2 lanes. And I'm sure in the next 15 or 10 years while I'm here, they're going to 3 lane all the way through, but if they keep on doing that where it goes 2, 3, 2, 3. So people trying to race to the front to get in line and wait again. And we get the road rage calls all the time, turning into fights on the side of the road. Just if somebody like I told my son, I set my cruise control when I'm off duty at 5 over, and everybody wants to fly around me, go. You get to where you're going, I'm in no hurry to go anywhere anymore. So I can guarantee you I won't get a ticket for speeding. Maybe for not using my blinker when I change lanes, but I do that too. Because I try to tell them that too, is I'll let my blinker blink. I said, if you're turning on your blinker and changing lanes, you're doing it wrong. I said, it should blink at least 7 times. That way everybody knows what you're trying to do. And that's what the blinker's for. They changed the law where you're supposed to use it to change lanes now, because I know everybody complains about blinkers not getting used enough. And I try to tell my kids, it's a courtesy, but now it's a law where you can actually get the ticket if you don't use it. I said, but it's a courtesy, so I turn mine on, and you're getting 7 blinks, I'm counting them. Before I change that lane, I'm looking. I don't want to be part of the crash. It's going to happen if I don't. But if you turn it on and you change lanes, I really love when somebody slams on their brakes and then turns on their blinker, and then turns. I'm like, no, that's backwards. It's blinker first, 15 seconds up the road, so we all know what you're going to do, and then we expect the brakes, and then we see the turn. But either way, I tell them that you should. That's what to me it's being courteous to the other people on the road. Either your front blinker or your rear blinker. If somebody's waiting to turn and they see your blinker on, okay, they could probably squeeze out and get out of your way, and then you can make an easier turn. I do that all the time too. I'll flash my headlights at people like, go, you're in my way, I'm going to cut this corner really good and save me some time so you get out of my way. So yes, to me it's being professional and courteous to everybody at all times, but I'm sure you guys see it even in here sometimes. People, they're in a hurry and then they want to be mean to everybody else to get to where they're going. So this is awesome if you guys get to read over it instead of my little quick diagnosis of it. I like it. I'm going to take a copy with me and try to change it. So I'll have them for the Lake County Sheriff's Office to pass out when I do these again. Any questions for me while I'm here?
I'm from Michigan. What are the laws?
Sorry about that. I only say that because I'm from Canton, Ohio, and we're not supposed to like each other. I've been told.
Do they have funeral processions here in Florida? I've never seen any, but they have funeral processions.
I heard a couple of people that have been caught in them over here, yeah.
And what
So now, if it's a dignitary one, the sheriff's office will get involved because we're not like in the city where all the police are in a smaller area. In the county, we have 25 deputies, but they're covering Astor to 192. So we can't pull 6 deputies together to do a funeral escort. I just seen some paperwork from years ago. The funerals homes, a couple of funeral homes called the sheriff's office, sent them a letter complaining that we don't never help them with escorts. Like, well, the reason is because if 3 of us come together, we've just undone 50 square miles of deputy sheriffs patrolling, to where now it's 30 minutes for a guy to get somewhere running code because we came together. So the smaller ones the sheriff's office doesn't mess with. Now the cities do it all the time. Leesburg, Fruitland Park, they do the small ones because they got 2 or 3 guys in that close area. But now if it's a big dignitary one where there's going to be 200-300 people traveling, not even that big, but 50-60 cars going to be in it, we'll pull like I said, my 4 guys, we'll try to, if they're all working that day, we'll try to get together and help move them safely where it's safe for all the people that they're driving through. So it's not something we do all the time at the sheriff's office, but we do get involved with them when they get too big for, 2 people to work them anywhere.
I've seen some funeral processions where the light turns red and the people that are in the procession stop.
Yeah, and that's the other problem too. If you don't have enough people to work the lights, you'll get somebody in the procession will stop, and now the procession's all messed up.
But as an observer to this, what do you do if they're doing things like that?
Yeah, if they're stopped and the other people are gonna start going. Because all I know is if the other light's green and they're stopped and no one's there and I'm at a green light, I'm not gonna wait for them to make that decision. I'm going now, they've already stopped. And that's why we don't get involved in the smaller ones, because we can't cover every light. If it's too, now once it gets bigger, I bring more people into it and then we're covering all the lights, but as you know, they're not high speed by any means. So if, like I said, I know Fruitland Park does them, I know Leesburg does them, I know Lady Lake does them, I hear them on the radio all day long. So the smaller ones, I know don't like it because we don't have the manpower to do it. And if I hear one, I'll try to go help them to make it safer. The more of us there are, the safer it is for everybody. Because when that happens, you're like, no, you're supposed to keep going. Because the funeral, they don't need the police to do them. State statute says that the purple lights work fine. The problem is they don't seem to do them right neither. Like if they have 12 cars, well, they'll go into an intersection that's green, they'll just keep going. None of the purple lights will stay. So what happens is what you just said, is that the light turns red, the 12th car is like, oh, red light, I can't go through it. You know, so now he's out of the procession. And then you're over there like, well, no, you got your flashes on, you're part of them, go. And then now you have all these people saying, no, go, don't go. So yeah, it gets confusing quickly. So that's not something the sheriff's office gets involved with a lot, but like I said, if it's a dignitary one, there's a whole bunch of people traveling, we'll pull a bunch of people together and knock it out to make it safe for everybody.
So are you saying it's mostly the city police should handle that?
A lot of the cities handle, if it's going from point A to point B is in the city, the cities do them. Right, like I said, I hear it on the radio all the time. But it's the ones that go further, that'll go from point A to point B, and it's not in the city, starting in, finishing in the city, it jumps out into the country or the county somewhere, then we'll try to get us involved, like you said, just to keep it safe for everybody, because it gets unsafe quickly. Any other questions for me?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead, right here.
I'm from Connecticut.
All right.
When I learned to drive,
Right.
two-lane highway, you're in the right lane, you use the left lane for passing. What is it about Florida drivers that they come right after?
Gary, microphone.
Oh, that left lane.
Gary.
Right, so the question is, he's talking about the left lane driving, where people are doing the speed limit in the left lane, which is the fast lane, I call it. So you have now in the 3-lane, 2 lanes, he's talking 2 lanes now. The right lane, the way the statute read, and the way the statute was wrote, it's in Florida also, is if you are not passing another car, you're supposed to be in the right lane. Well, that was when they wrote it, and I don't know what year that statute was written, there wasn't as many left turns as there are now. So now what I'm saying is now we have because I've seen, this ticket has been written and I've seen what happens to it in court, to where the judge or the hearing officer, whoever sees it, says, could you go around them? And as soon as you say, yes, you could have went around them, they dismiss the ticket. Which is, like you said, the statute says what it says, so here I am, I write the ticket. I just seen a guy get pulled over, one of our guys just pulled somebody over for it the other day and warned them about it. But I try to give you like 3 or 4 left turns, like how long are you going to be out here? But the thing is, now there's so many left turn lanes and all that stuff, I think the statute needs to be readdressed.
So you leave it alone? All right.
Yes.
Can I ask a question for a friend?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. When do we call the police if we have an accident?
Did you say when?
When do we call the police if there's a minor accident?
Oh, yes. If you want the police involved, the way this state statute reads for crashes is that if it looks like and I say this because all these numbers, everything is so, I want to say archaic. The way the statutes were written back when there weren't, 72 million of us living in any of the states of the United States, right? Well, the way the statute's written, if it looks like there's more than 5, like if 2 cars bump each other and you can't even tell, you 2 can exchange information and nobody's probably going to fix anything, oh, I touched. But now if you have something that looks damaged, that's going to be repaired, and the way the statute reads is over $500, and I can tell you that's how old the statute is. Don't tell anybody this, jackknifed a little teeny small trailer behind my father-in-law's pickup truck that I borrowed without his knowledge, and I put a 1-foot scratch, barely dented it, but a little 1-foot scratch down the side of it. I'm like, oh, I got this. I'm not going to use insurance. I'm just going to go pay for it. That was a $1,000 scratch. And I was selling a $50 punching bag. So I didn't make any money, did I? No, I lost $150. I tried to hurt him back out of the lady's driveway because it was a busy road. But anyways, so that a lot of people be like, oh, that doesn't look like $500, so I'm not going to call. So the best thing to me to do, if there's any damage, the best information I can give you. If there's any damage to either vehicle, notify law enforcement, and then we can come out and we can do a driver's exchange, a short form crash report, and then a long form crash report is what I'd like to call real crashes, where a car is going to get towed or somebody went to the hospital, but not a parking lot. Now, parking lot crashes, the state of Florida doesn't care about them, but there are some good parking lot crashes. If somebody misses their brake and hits their gas pedal and goes back into another car at a high rate of speed, we're going to come out, we're going to do at least a short form crash report for you if nothing has to be towed. Because the statute also mandates which report we have to do. And when I say it mandates, it tells you if certain things happen, we have to do a long form crash report. And those are the ones, when you see statistics for the state of Florida on crashes, that's only long form crashes. That's not short form or driver's exchanges. So driver's exchange is just where two people agree. And with that being said, you and somebody bump into each other and they jump out of their car and the first thing they say is, don't call the police. What do?
Call the police.
Call the police. Because something's wrong with something, they don't want the police there. So either their license is suspended, they don't have insurance, or they're getting ready to leave, they do not want the police there. So if somebody ever tells you not to call the police and there's a crash, call the police so we can document it. And that's what it is. It's if you Carfax, stuff like that. When we come out and do a crash report, all that goes to the history of that VIN. So let's say if you go out and buy a used car and it's been in a bad crash, but that person somehow avoided the police doing a report on it, and they went and fixed it themselves with their buddy and they re-welded the frame, and you don't see that because you're, oh look, that car looks pretty, right? And it doesn't come up in the Carfax, because we've all seen those commercials, right? Because they didn't, Carfax is if police are involved. That's all Carfax is going to tell you, if a police report has been generated on that VIN. So if that person, I had it happen, I had to do a warrant on the guy. If that person, he hit and ran, took his truck home parked, 3 days later he called his insurance company and said he was a victim of a hit and run, not the suspect of a hit and run that we were looking for. They fixed his big giant truck to the tune of $25,000 because it was a $75,000 truck, so they didn't total it out. Well, when I looked in Carfax, his VIN had nothing. When I ended up finding out who he was, his VIN showed nothing in Carfax, no accidents or nothing. Well, one of the detectives that work at the Lake County Sheriff's Office went into the car insurance database. So anytime you make a claim, that's a whole other database. It's two separate databases, which doesn't make sense to me, but I'm not here to fix the world. He went in there and found out that that guy made a claim 3 days after he put this other lady in the hospital because he T-boned her on 27 down by Lake Louisa. And so I did all my work, did all my stuff, got a warrant. I went to him first, I said, hey, I got you. He's like, good luck proving it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, here's a warrant, let's go. Boom, I already proved it, I did my part. So needless to say, 6 months after that, he got arrested, he got probation. 6 months after that, he crashed into a gas station, drunk again, and because he was under the influence that day. And then FHP showed up on that one, and he was violating his probation on the other one, and he went to jail. I'm like, so it's like my 50-year-old brother that can't quit getting in trouble for some reason. So did I answer your question good? Anyone else? Got a couple more? Go ahead back there. I'll repeat it if you say it. I got bionic ears. I can't see up close very good anymore, but I got good ears.
Okay, several years before we moved down here,
From where?
New York City.
New York City!
A town so
We were at a
nice,
similar,
they named it twice.
presentation by an officer from the NYPD. And the only thing different that he suggested was if you're stopped at night to turn your dome light on.
Yes, you can do that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Because
And
that
it's
way
even
the
go-
officer can see what's going on in the car.
Right, yes. So, and that's a problem that I have is I've been on days since 2008. So you can turn your dome light on all day long, I'm not gonna know the difference. But it's what the problem that we have is you probably see in Florida here is the tint. I have I'll have to add that to my presentation, a video of me pulling a young man over. I could barely see his shadow through the car as I'm standing there looking at him. He cracked the window. I said, hey, can I get your driver's license? He's like, yeah. He rolled the window back up, so we're already being very mean to me, I thought in my mind. I'm like, okay, so now I'm just watching him as he's looking for his license and just making sure I don't see nothing that looks like a pistole roll up on me so I can bail out of the way of it. And then he cracks the window again, less this time, and then he has his license in his hand. I'm like, oh, this isn't going to be bad. He's going to hand it to me. And he's like, not today, see you. And he took off. Well, right now, our policy is that we can't chase, and this was on 33 by Bridges and the other one right there. He sped up behind me and I pulled him over. Well, his license was suspended. He took off. I didn't know who he was, but then when I showed my video camera to some other guys that deal with a lot of people in Leesburg, we have like the zone deputies in that area. They're like, oh, we know who he is. I'm like, oh, so I went and confirmed with my video and looked up his driver's license picture. I'm like, oh, that's him. So once again, all he did was make me do more paperwork. I had to go do a warrant for his arrest. This was last March. I just looked last week. He's still in jail because he was out on bond for fleeing from the police. He fled from me, so he had another warrant. But when they went to pick him up on my warrant, he ran from them again. I'm like, stop running. I would have wrote him a ticket and got him a ride home for driving on a suspended license. And he just, like I said, you magnify it when you think you're not magnifying. So needless to say, now the poor young man's in jail for a year. I'm like, no, that was not my intention. I wanted to write you a ticket and get you off the road. That was it. So unfortunately, the cameras are working in our favor, not in the bad guy's favor. Any more questions? Did I answer your question yet? Yep. Go ahead, right there.
Oh, I'm just curious, if I'm at a red light, I can't go anywhere, and an emergency vehicle comes up behind me.
Oh, this is
There's nowhere for me to go. Am I allowed to go through the red light?
I love it when this happens, yeah. So let's just say I'm driving that emergency vehicle. And I just seen this happen the other day is here's what happened was we were 3 lanes deep. The turn lane was wide open. We're 3 lanes deep, so I'm in the far right lane. The ambulance is coming up in the fast lane. It's the inside lane, I guess, it would depend on what you call it. I call it fast lane, slow lane, and middle lane. So I'm sitting still, I'm not moving. I'm like, okay, cool, he's gonna get in that turn lane, he's gonna go all around us, make it to the light. Nope. One of the cars in front of him got over in the turn lane and blocked it. So now the ambulance is just sitting there, honking its horn. I'm like, why did you move? Yeah, if you're the car that's in his way, you can creep through that light. And then now if you're the car at the stop bar, you're the very first car, and you had to move out of his way into the intersection so he can go through, you'll be fine once he goes through kind of creeping in behind him, because now you're in the middle of the intersection. So if this traffic has the green light, they're all going to be honking and waving at you with their favorite finger, like, why are you in my way now? So yes, you'll be fine to creep with him and go, because you're stuck, unless you can back in, but you won't be able to back in because it's like a vacuum. As soon as that ambulance goes through, it's like everybody closes back up and they don't care who was where. I'm like, what? No, let them people, you see all those people that get out of his way? Let them get back in. Nope, you got the one car that's trying to keep up with them to stay in the wake and get ahead of everybody. So yes, you're fine if you creep through because of that situation and you go through, even if I tell you that you're fine and then somebody else pulls you over and writes you a ticket for that, please take it to court. The judge will throw it out because you were forced into that situation. It's not your fault. Now you're in the intersection. You can't stay there because now if this traffic starts to go again, you got to get out of the way or you're going to get hit. So you'll be fine in that situation. Anyone else with any questions? That's it? All right. Oh, right there. One last question.
You said earlier that you needed to have your driver's license with you at all times. And you said whether it's electronic or the hard copy license. So were you indicating that you could have a copy of your license on your camera like in your photos? Or is there a website that you can log into to show that the license is available?
Both. Yeah, so you can go through the license department, state of Florida license that we all get our driver's license at. They will give you can go onto their website and get an electronic version of your license, or you can take a picture of it. Because now in most of and I know at the sheriff's office, I have the ability to, like I said, when I run your tag, we have 2 different programs. David is a Florida only program. Elvis is a nationwide program. So if your car is registered to you or to you and your spouse or the family members, when I run you in Elvis, it'll pull up the tag, it'll tell me the car. Well, then when I push one more button, it'll show me the photos of the 2 registered owners. So I can identify you in my car without your license. Just state statute says, and that's not a ticket that I write, but state statute says that if you don't have your driver's license for whatever state you're from on you somehow, now they're adding the electronic part in as we speak probably. I know Florida's done it, but other states are adding it in too. If you can't show it to me, I can write you a ticket for not having it, even though I have the ability to look it up on my computer. Because I can come to you and I can ask you your name and your birthday, enter it and find it. Right. So if I can find it and it's valid, I'm not writing you a ticket because you forgot it at home on the counter. But it's more so for, I'm sure, people that don't want us to know who they are at all, that are doing it, and then their birthday's wrong by 10 years and all that exciting stuff. And the same goes for the registration. That's electronic, and insurance I know is electronic because I do that. I have it on my phone. So all of the things now you can show on your phone, either picture of it or the electronic version from your insurance company, the state of Florida, or the registration, which is all state of Florida stuff, yeah. So you can either way. Even if some people have had photocopies of it where they've copied it in a copier and had it in a baggie or something in their glove box, and they show, hey, you did it. Because now I tell people, so they hand me their license so I can just see who they are, and then I'm like, they'll start looking for the registration. I say, oh, hold on, is it your car? Yep, I got all that back here in the car now. I'm here to make it convenient for you, minus the $131 ticket.
Thank you.
Right, you're welcome.
One last question, I don't know if you can handle this. This intersection right here coming out of Clock Tower, that's the most confusing intersection I've ever seen in my life.
Is it a roundabout? No. No? No, I came to your roundabout, wasn't too roundabouty to me. I walked straight through it. It was like, I barely had to go around. I was like, oh, because my phone said it was a roundabout. So I was expecting like a 455, 561 roundabout. I was like, neat. I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice.
But what if 4 people are making left turns? One coming out of Pier Park, one coming out of ours, one north, one south on 27. It's just-
Oh, so you're actually talking about out of the neighborhood. You're on the highway now.
Yeah, right at 27,
Right, okay,
yeah.
right. So is that I don't want to say this out loud because people might be listening to us. So when you come out of here, because I think this might be the first or second time I've been in here, you can make a left turn?
Yeah.
You can. There's an opening in the aisle.
So, okay, you have the opening in the thing, so yeah.
That's what I'm saying, all 4.
Do you like that or not?
No.
Oh, okay, if you,
Don't know how you would change it. otherwise
they'll make you a right turn only, if that's
Yeah.
how they'll change it, yeah.
Careful what you ask
Yeah.
for.
What's that? Oh, yeah, the traffic lights, yes. I don't know if they're
It's just
doing
what
that.
we need,
And
another
you can, if
traffic
you get a hold of the state of Florida or get on their websites, they'll tell you what their you say you're getting one?
We had a petition and we have gone to the state. and
Right.
They decided that we didn't need one.
Or did they tell you why?
No, not really. It wasn't warranted, I
Well, this is why right here.
They didn't believe in it.
How many people live in here?
1,500.
999 homes.
1,500 people live in the community.
Gotcha, right, yeah, so, and they told you that you don't warrant a traffic light, right? And thank goodness, because if enough people die out there at that intersection within a short amount of time, that's one of the things that warrants a traffic light, unfortunately. But that's what happened to, can somebody name the park for me? No, I'm sorry, on 44 going to Sumter County out of Leesburg.
Fort Griffin?
Nope, right here in Leesburg. Like Maine and 468. No.
Is that, no, I don't know.
That's 470, you mean?
Not 470, but so let's just say if I took, if you're familiar with South Street coming off of 27 in Leesburg, and that wraps around turns into 468 or Main Street in Leesburg, but if you turn left, it's 44 going to Sumter County. There's a neighborhood on the right. Oh, no, I'm sorry. When I say park, I mean it's a neighborhood like y'all's. Pembroke, thank you. Pembroke, give her candy. Who's got candy here? Give her candy. So Pembroke asked for a study and a traffic light and got a right turn only. So now anybody that wants to leave Pembroke and go to Leesburg has to make a right on a 55-mile-an-hour road, go down and make a U-turn on a 55-mile-an-hour road, and I've heard complaints of this in motorhomes and, trailers and hauling stuff, and I'm like, so I say that, yeah, be careful what you wish for. But yeah, because the only thing I don't like about what you guys have here is that it's one car goes out there and waits, well then the person behind them's like, well, I'm not waiting because there's no traffic going northbound, so now we're going to put 6 of us out in this median, blocking each other's views, and one of us is going to guess that nobody's coming and get hit by a car doing 55 mile an hour. So that's what I don't like about these big openings like this, so.
That was my question, basically, not that we have a light, but what's a proper way to get through that? I mean, if 4 people are all making their left turn at the same time, it's very confusing.
Yes. And there was, like you said, there's no proper way to do it, unfortunately.
There's no lines to
Right.
follow,
Mhm.
nothing.
Yeah, it's not a good situation, like I said, go ahead.
If I see 4 people down there and they're in my way, I just turn right, go up to the cutout for Arlington Ridge and make my U-turn.
Right.
And it's just as easy as if I sat there and swore.
Right, yeah. And probably faster than you sitting there waiting your turn too, right? Yeah. And unfortunately, it's not just you guys, it's happening everywhere. And I know north of 4419 going out of Eustis, going towards Umatilla and all that, they're doing an access management thing through there, and those people, they wrote the sheriff a letter wanting me to, he's like, tell your traffic guy to stop the state of Florida from what they're doing. I'm like, I don't think you guys know how this works. State, county, city. So we don't tell the state what to do with these roads. They do what they want. So they did a whole bunch of that where you can't do this anymore. It's all right turns, and you got to go find one of the U-turn areas and make a U-turn and go back. So, and I'm pretty sure that seems to be like that's going county-wide. So I'm pretty sure that the old 441 here, 27, I'm sorry, this is 27 here, is on their list. To get, what they're doing is they're trying to take out as many, the less turnarounds there are, the less crashes there are. That's what they're trying to do.
They just did it next door.
Highland Lakes.
Yeah, Highland Lakes. By the way, Highland Lakes was on a petition with us trying to get a traffic light because they have a hard time getting out.
Right, and what they get?
Right turn.
They got the right only, yeah, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's what, so sign your petition and turn it in and then cross your fingers.
And there's a new development right up the street here on 27. They can't make that left-hand turn, they gotta make a right, come down to U-turn.
Is that,
It's a brand new development.
Denham? Right, it's right by Ravenswood, which is where my beautiful wife lived when I met her, just for the record, throw that out there.
It's all over.
Right, yeah, so that's a right turn only. So, and that's my favorite thing is I'm just cruising along, because I'm in an unmarked Tahoe, which I love, because nobody knows it's me, right, until it's too late. When I turn on my Christmas lights, is when I see somebody sitting in one of those straight across like this, like they just did what the 2 signs asked them not to do. That is a $160 ticket. That one's a little more expensive, so please don't do that. Because I've caught a couple of folks from the parks doing it because they're like, oh, I didn't see the sign. And one guy did it, they did it to me, and they did it right in front of me. I had to hit my brakes not to hit them. The gentleman in the passenger seat was a veteran, as I am, 4 years only though. Might have been more of a, hey, do you give veterans breaks? I said, not for what I just saw there. I said, she shouldn't be driving. She's going to get both you killed. I said, she's getting a ticket. So, unfortunately. Yeah, so they're trying to fix it all, but until then and there's a statute that says you're not even supposed to go out and park in that. Like when you leave your park here, you're not supposed to leave until you can get into your lane of travel. You're not supposed to go out there and sit, because one of the guys that used to be on my motor unit used to write that ticket all day long. He'll catch somebody out there sitting, he'll write the ticket.
Really?
And it's for that reason is because you go out and then your buddy's like, oh, I'm going to go out with you. And then they block your view, and then you creep forward a little bit, and then somebody rips off the front of your car at 70 miles an hour, like I think I heard somebody say, because you know they're not doing 55 by out here. And I think it's, Leesburg still goes down a little bit further, and then we take over, but the highways is the easiest place to catch people flying, because everybody's in a hurry, unfortunately.
I have to ask you, has anybody ever said to you, do you know who I am?
We get that, yeah, I get that every now
I'm
and then.
curious, because you hear.
I get more of why you stopped me than do you know who I am, yeah. Because I've had a couple of run-ins with, as I'm getting older, with the children of the guys that I started with 20 years ago. And I'm like, yes, I know who your dad is, but he probably told you not to drive like this, and here's a piece of paper you can go get him. So don't do it. That's what I told my son. I said, if somebody pulls you over and they don't write you a ticket, I'm going to write you the ticket, because you're getting the ticket. Don't think you're getting out of it because I've been here for 20 years and everybody knows me. If you're driving good enough to waste their time to pull you over, you're getting the ticket either way, if I have to handwrite it myself. So, any other questions, folks? Awesome. Thank you all very much for having me. I like the microphone.
Thank you so much. Okay, that's it. Let's go home and get some dessert or something. Some of you may have to eat.